The difficult British pound situation is getting even worse than before. Look at this chart. British pound now is 1.08 Swiss francs per 1 pound. Well, but a few days ago, as we can see on this chart, it was even worse. Look at this. Look at this, what is happening to the British pound. 1.07, and before even lower, 1.075, which is very low. That means British pound is going down and against Swiss franc as it's been planned. The British pound is going down as it actually friend the Australian dollar. The British pound is going down against Swiss franc as it's another friend, New Zealand dollar and Canadian dollar. Well, why is this happening? Well, those let's so-called imperial currencies, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, New Zealander dollar, and the British pound, all of them are going down against Swiss franc, and it's been happening for decades. And we have to ask ourselves, if this been happening for half a century, would this change? Well, things are changing in the world, but this is quite difficult to assume that this will change or this will not change. We know for sure that the Swiss franc would change its direction, but what would that mean? Well, that would mean the collapse of the Swiss economy itself. For now, we know that the British pound is going down against the Swiss franc, the Australian dollar is going down against the Swiss franc, Canadian dollar is going down against the Swiss franc, and New Zealander dollar is going down against Swiss franc. The problem is that the British pound today has very high interest rate. The British pound, the interest rate on the British pound, the Bank of England set up the interest rate on astonishing 4.25, which is 4.25, of course, which is very high compared to the Swiss franc, as Swiss franc is actually zero. It's again zero, actually, and it is still actually gaining against the British pound, or the British pound is losing against the Swiss franc. Well, what would we assume? We would assume that in the foreseeable future the British pound will go down below 1 Swiss franc per 1 pound, so that will be 0.99. Some people, they can't imagine that the British pound will be less than 1 Swiss franc, but if we look at this chart that I am showing you now, please look at this chart. This is the Australian dollar against Swiss franc, and once Australian dollar was, look at this, more than 2 Swiss francs for each Australian dollar, actually 2.51 in 1991. Well, you think that was a lot? Well, once one British pound was almost 7 francs per 1 British pound, and it went down to 6, to 5, to 4, to 3, to 2, to 1. Today's price is almost 1 to 1. This is the ratio. But look at this chart. What happened to this chart? It is astonishing what happened. The British pound, the Australian dollar went down by from 2.5 to 2 to 180, 160, 40, 20, 120 to 1. You see, in 2016 it was still 1, and then it went down below 1. Actually, it was quite a long time ago below 1 Swiss franc, but then it recovered many times, but it's too weak, and now it is going down below 1, below 0.8, 0.6, 0, and now 0.52. So the half you must give today 2 Australian dollars for each Swiss franc. So the roles actually are changing 180. And what would that mean for the British pound? Well, that would mean the same story. We have to ask ourselves what may happen so this process be stopped. Well, the Swiss franc would need to collapse or do something very bad would need to happen with the Switzerland, and something very good would need to happen with the British economy. But you see, it never happened. It never happened. For last 50 years, the process is straightforward, the same. The British pound is going down against Swiss franc. It's been happening for 50 years as the British pound is losing to gold. Why is this happening? Why on earth is this happening? Why the British pound was once the currency of mighty British Empire, now it's actually going down against very small country, because Switzerland is very, very small. Switzerland is size of Wales or something like this. Maybe no. The Switzerland is like size maybe of Canary Islands or something like this, without the sea, without the ocean. It's very small. It's around 40,000 kilometers or something like this. It's very small country, and mostly mountains, beautiful country, but very small. Very small. It is size of I think Lithuania, kind of. I don't see any signs that the British pound would change its mind. Why would on earth that would revert to its original settings? The settings for the British pounds are printing. This is what's been happening in last 20 years. What's been happening also in last 20 years, that the British pound lowered the interest rate to historical low, and what that actually produced for the British pound, that produced trouble for the British pound, that produced very bad time for the British pound. As today, on 10th of July 2025, the actually economy is in very bad shape. Why is this in a very bad shape? The British economy, because the interest rate is 100% more higher than the interest rate in the Eurozone, in France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Austria. So they pay a lot of interest rate on mortgages, on everything, which is very, of course, sad. But on the top of this, the inflation is very high, but it is not going down. They have very high interest rate, but the inflation is not going down, and the situation is not very nice. It is very bad situation at the moment. It's not nice. So we would need to see very big changes in Switzerland and in Great Britain that we don't see at the moment. If they will occur, then we will find out about that. But for now, the British pound will go down. Below zero. Well, be below 1 Swiss franc per 1 pound, so that will be around 0.99 Swiss francs sooner or later. Thank you very much. Please subscribe my channel. I hope to see you soon. Good luck. Bye bye.